it's Rob here and welcome to the first of my build series on the Tamiya The Frog ORV chassis. Now normally I do these roughly in metal parts bag sequence, but if you see over here there's no denotion of parts bag A and then parts bag B, and that's because this is one of the rare guides where you have to open multiple parts bags at a time. In this instance, we've got BA2s and BBs. That's 2 bags I've had to open. So anyway, yeah, I've got all the parts ready. This is basically putting the main chassis together. It shows here that the way you should put the things together in sequence. And kind of first off is this part A5. And it tells you to stick a bit of this sponge tape on, which I'm assuming just holds the battery in place, and then when you put it in place you spin it round like so, but we'll get to that bit. The first job is taking part A2 and putting loads of these bits in ready to go. So I think we'll start off with C3, and I believe that goes somewhere there, even there. So I'll get on screwing these in with a couple of BA2s. Like that. We'll just tighten them up later on. Yeah, we then need this piece here, which is MR7, and I can't even for the life of me, there it is, and that goes here. Now the thing is, this is a metal bar, so we've got an engineering machine screw that goes through here. If we can get it through, there we go. And then obviously it'll screw into there. So although it doesn't mention it, I'm going to put some thread lock on once I get it through the plastic. And then when we come to put the other side on, we can naturally tighten both screws against each other. So that's that bit. And then we need these 2 MR3s, and they should slot in there, like so. And then when we come to put the bits together, we've got these 3 things that basically is a bit of a nightmare in some respects, but we shall see. So this piece here, if we look at it, should slot in there, and there's a slot cut in it if you see, and that should tie up with a protrusion in the chassis itself, like so. This piece is floating. It doesn't really matter where you put it. Because it's for when you fit your servo, so you should be able to slide it up and down a bit when you come to fit the servo. So I'll tighten this bit up, and then, as I say, we come to the hard bit, which is that piece goes there and it doesn't stay. This piece then goes there and doesn't really stay, as you can see. It falls off. and that piece, and then you need to put all of this together and get it all lined up, and I can't for the life of me remember how I did this. I thought I'd fully tighten them, but it's just that tight a fit. There we go. And then it's just this one screw, and unfortunately in this instance we're going to have to risk poking it through with the thread lock on. And that should be part one finished. That should slide, might be a bit stiff, but as you can see it will slide so that you can fit whichever servo you've got, and at some point, hopefully in the near future, that'll be screwed together. So holding all of that, but there's part one done. We'll crack on and go to part two. Step two is making up the front arms, and there's a note here telling you to make sure that MP3 and MP2 are at 90 degrees to one another, something like that. And I believe you are supposed to make two, a left and a right. So they'll go something like that, and they really want these to stay in place because you've got a spring washer that goes on the outside. We then pass that through MP2. And then we've got one of these locking washers. I can never remember what they're called, but yeah, that goes on like so. And as you can see, hopefully both surfaces have got these knurled bits in, which I think engage with the big washer. And then the problem is getting this nylon nut on. Unfortunately, my nut spinner, if I put it in that, it drops down far too far. The hole in there is too deep, so it won't engage. So I've ended up having to try and use my trusty pliers to start it at least. Checking, oops, off a bit. There we go. And there we have your two front bits ready for step 3. Step 3 is the front suspension, and again we've got to make 2 different sides. And what I'm going to do for this is, because you've got to put a lot of grease on and stuff, I'm going to dry fit them first just to show you, because you do get a bit covered in grease, and also because these are metal on metal, I'm going to put some thread lock on them again. So you have to get the orientation right, and I think this one's the left one. Yep. So you pop the axle in, and then you've got these 2 king pins, as I call them. Tamiya are calling them step screws, and it is tricky. To get them in, so you just screw them up. And one in the bottom. Like so. And then we've got parts H3 and H2, and the longer one, H2, goes at the bottom. And again, you need to get your orientation right. We've got this sticky up bit that's on the outside, and it pops through underneath. And then you take part MR2, radius arm, Tamiya are calling it, and you pass that through, and you take one of the nylon nuts and pop it on, and then you tighten it up. But there's a note here that tells you to leave small gaps. That's about tight enough, and you can see there's some movement. It's not snagging it or holding it up. Might be able to do a tiny bit more. And then the H3 one goes through there. Again, you need some grease, and I'm not sure if this definitely needs to go through this way, but that's what it's showing, so I'm gonna do it. That's step 3 complete, and we can move on to step 4 hopefully. Step 4 is attaching the front suspension stays, and more metal bits, metal bits. And you're also going to need 2 of these B6s, and there's a note here about carefully cutting off the mould tabs before you install them. And then you're also going to need some anti-wear grease along with MR4. So if we pop MR4 in, it's not going in, there we go. We can get our anti-wear grease, and you do get this supplied with the kit. It pops in here, like so, and then we get this part MP4, and that goes on like that. And then we've got 2 BB3s. There we go, that's better. But on this side, that feeds through, and we'll pull the chassis front together and then the other one must go on this side here like so. But again, this is metal screws on metal, so I'm going to put a blob of thread lock on. And once they're tight and that's been closed up, that's step 4 finished. Step 5 is attaching the front suspension, but this is what it looks like on completion of step 4. And if we show you, when you push these in, this forms part of the suspension. Ouch, he says. And that will go in like so, and it's this bit that pushes. So it's just a case of getting your orientation right and then getting your suspension bits the right way round, like that, and then we put a bit of grease on. Okay, so this is what it looks like, or should look like, once you've finished part 5 or step 5, and you can see the suspension working. And I think if you look there, you can actually see that white nylon-y bit in front of the spring going in and out. So that's that bit done. I think we can now move on. Step 6, and the last step in this video, is attaching the front bumper. And for this we're going to need this part here, MP5, and all it says is a reinforcing plate. There's no mention about whether it's carbon fibre, but from one of my other builds where it was actually carbon fibre, this looks and feels the same. So what I've done is I've gone round the edge here with some very thin super glue, cyano, just to seal it really, because it's quite rough. If I'd got a face mask I'd probably consider sanding it, it's that rough. But hey, I've super glued the edge and left it for 10 minutes so that I know it's dry, so we can get on and finish this video. And where to start? I think I'm going to start with putting these torsion bars, did they call them, in place. So for that we need a BC6 and a BA1 step screw, and yeah, looking at the diagram, we pop the washer over and then we try, he says, I think I may have to undo I don't know, I might get it in. And then we've got the body mount pin MR13, which is going to screw in there. go, yep. And then it's just a case of, he says, screwing the bumper on. And we need a BD3 15mm screw for the centre. That goes there. There we go. So, with that, that's what's the reinforcing plate, that carbon fibre bit is. Let's, like I say, I'm assuming it's carbon fibre, it doesn't actually tell me. But that's it. I think I'll call an end there, as I said at the beginning of this step. So, I hope you've enjoyed this and look forward to seeing you on the next build, which, looking at this, is the differential in gears. So, thanks for watching. Bye!